What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Nerd Den. I am joined, as always, by my brother and fellow nerd, Jesse. How you doing?
What's good, man? Super hyped to be here. Super hyped on this topic.
Yes, brother. And speaking of, today's episode is going to be on Destiny 2. And yes. I know that may seem a little weird. We seem like PC gamers, PC Master Race all the way. But in fact, both of us do have a healthy background in Destiny 1, and with the recent reveal trailer for Destiny 2, we thought we would sit down and give Bungie our wish list for Destiny 2 and what we want to see come back to the sequel and what should not be anywhere near the sequel. Plenty of both. We'll see where it goes. Jess, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. I poured a ton of hours into Destiny. It was actually my first-person shooter.
Really,
so
first
I had
game.
no gaming experience before Destiny. And then I got a PS4 and I played the shit out of Destiny.
Dude, that is an understatement.
8 hours a day grind every day. Like, it was insane.
I would get up in the morning. He would be on the PS4. I would go do my shit for the day, come back. He wouldn't have moved.
Yeah,
he was dedicated.
Playing a lot, dude. Like, I just poured so many hours in that, and almost all of it.
You played Destiny?
I'll look it up and tell you at the end of the podcast.
Okay, so it's quite the insane amount. I mean, the perspective. I've played Counter-Strike for like 4 years now. I think I have close to like 3,000 hours in it. Jesse probably put a solid dent of how many days do you think, Jess?
I think it's around 40 days.
40 days in a couple of years. It's pretty wild.
And I dropped off last year, like around Taken King. I stopped playing, and then when Taken King came out, I played for a little bit.
Right.
Got sick of it. Played Rise of Iron, came out, played a little bit, got sick of it. That's pretty much how I've done it since Taken King, just because the game just got so dry. Like, there was this one dry spell before Taken King where it was like 8 months with no content. Yeah. And it was just, oh, dude, I couldn't take it.
And then I have probably not even close to an eighth of what Jesse has in the Destiny. I've always been more of a PC player, and Destiny being, a console exclusive game kind of drove me away from it. But I would play every now and again. I have a healthy exposure to the game. Like, I've played enough of it to know the good and bad points about it and have a healthy opinion of it. Jesse by far is the bigger fanboy out of the two of us. But obviously the biggest news for Destiny 2 is that it's coming to PC. I think that's why we wanted to talk about it, because we're both predominantly now PC players. And to see Destiny come over to the superior platform, just gonna throw that out there.
Right.
I think it would be nice just to throw out some pros and cons of Destiny 1 and what we hope to see in Destiny 2. So I think straight away, I really hope they don't charge us out the ass for DLC. Destiny had an insane DLC path, man. It was like $40, $50 DLC packs like 5 or 6 times. I don't know what the total investment if you bought every single DLC was for Destiny, but it had to at least be $200, maybe $250 total. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was super expensive. To be fair, there was no microtransactions at the time.
That's true.
In Destiny, so I think, if you're going to have a game where you have to support the game for 3 years, you need DLC to keep investing in development of the next game and including, releasing content for the current game. So I don't have a huge problem with it, but now that they have a microtransaction in the game, hopefully they will either charge less for the DLCs or start to make some free DLC as well.
Yeah, well, I'm already kind of disheartened by that, since they already announced 3 different tiers of pre-order packages: deluxe editions, deluxe super mega edition, enhanced super deluxe mega edition founders pack. Order today, $199 USD pre-order. Jesus Christ, Bungie.
Take my money.
I mean, I'm gonna shell out the cash for the game. Obviously, I want to play it, but we've seen since Destiny came out plenty of games adopt more consumer-friendly models of, transactions. Rainbow Six Siege, Halo 5 are a couple of shining examples where both those games had completely free DLC. They didn't want to fracture the player base, but they supplemented that with non-invasive microtransactions, and it worked out great. Rainbow Six is a fantastic game. Admittedly, I haven't played much Halo 5 before, but from what I understand, it was really good, and obviously the microtransactions really helped to keep the player base fresh and not fracture it. So I'm worried about fracturing again, because especially with Destiny being a looter shooter, if you're adding new content but putting a paywall to it, you're effectively shattering the community, because not everyone can shell out that money for every new DLC.
Yeah, no, I agree. But just to compare Rainbow Six to Destiny, it's really tough because it's just PvP, and the items that they have for microtransaction are just cosmetic items,
Right.
or unlocking, heroes and whatnot, or whatever they're called in that game, operators, I think.
Yep.
Whereas in Destiny, there's raids, there's strikes, there's a whole PvE side of the game, and there's a whole PvP side of the game. So I mean, it's double the content, to be fair, that
Right.
that Bungie has to figure out a way to fund the development of and get it out to the community. So they have to find a way to get the money for that, right? So, and I don't think they can do it solely with microtransaction, especially with only having cosmetic microtransactions. Which is all we want. We don't want to ever have anything other than cosmetic transactions.
I swear to God, if I see
don't
supply
think-
drops, I
I
swear
just
to God.
don't think that they can make enough money on cosmetic items.
I don't know, man, because Destiny 1 sold an insane amount of copies. I'm not a
Well,
development
the
studio.
player
I don't
base
run a
is all-
business.
It's still insane right now.
Yeah, I have to think that they could find some way to do it, or at least make the DLC like less invasive. Make it to where if you buy the base game, you're not necessarily shut off from the new DLC paths. And admittedly, in PvP, you had access to new maps, but you did feel left out because you couldn't
Yeah, you
necessarily
got the new
access new
maps.
tier gear, new tiers of gear.
Yeah, you were locked off. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the game is a looter shooter, right? So you can't have that. It's gonna really hurt the game in the long run. So I'm curious to see what they do with their DLC.
Well, if you look at the prices of the pre-order right now, it looks like they're going to be leaning towards a $15 DLC for both DLCs, whereas before they were $30 DLCs.
Yeah.
So they've already cut them back $15. I mean, I know they're listening to the community. They know that, we're going to buy it, but they're not trying. They're trying to, make some compromises for us, right?
Right.
So I think narrowing it down by half is a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a big deal.
Yeah.
I always worry about this because Battlefield 4 had reasonably priced season pass and DLC, but a big issue when its DLC started to come out. I bring up Battlefield 4 because it came out at the same time as Destiny, so it's a fair comparison between the two games.
Definitely.
And the DLCs within a couple of weeks to a few months were unpopulated because a large majority of the player base didn't have access to it. So the maps quickly became really unpopulated, and eventually they stopped being played. Obviously,
that's
it's a little less the case in
difference
Destiny.
between Destiny, though,
Yeah.
because PvP, there's no lock-offs in PvP. The maps are free.
Yep.
Yeah,
But,
so there's no splitting the community on the PvP side. You're just splitting the community on the PvE side.
Yeah, I just don't want to see people get punished and have a lesser gear because they didn't put out the $30 for both the expansion
Okay,
packs.
so with the exception of Trials of Osiris and Iron Banner, DLCs don't affect PvP.
Okay.
But the top level of PvP is Trials of Osiris. So if you want to play Trials of Osiris, you're going to have to get the DLC or find a way to get really lucky in Iron Banner and get some great drops. So, I mean, there's ways to get up to like level 400 without having the DLCs, but it's very, very, very hard.
Right. So I guess we're going to jump past DLC for a second. I think the next biggest thing besides a more consumer-friendly transaction system for me is they really need to deliver on the story, and this reveal trailer, I think, gives me a lot of hope, as well as what they did with the last couple expansions in Destiny. It's a dead meme at this point. We all know Destiny 1's vanilla story was really terrible, really lackluster. I think Bungie has realized that that's not going to fly, and we saw Rise of Iron and Taken King were much better single-player experiences. So I hope they keep that trend going and we see a really fantastic single-player and PvE story for Destiny 2.
So I think with the original story, we all know how the original story was cut down to split it up into DLCs, which is a terrible thing. And that guy who was the CEO at the time is no longer the CEO of Bungie for that reason, mainly.
Right.
And I think the decision to keep the 3 Vanguard characters, Kate 6, Zavala, and
the other chick.
Akora. Akora? Yeah, that's her name. And especially with the prominence of Cade Six in the trailers, I think Bungie is aware of the fact that Cade Six is everybody's favorite character in the game.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard for him not to be. He's a fucking
he's fucking he's hilarious. So having him in the trailers, I think, is really giving me a lot of hope for the story of Destiny 2, because Taken King was really good story wise. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that it keeps going that direction.
Rise of Iron was a fantastic PvE experience.
I like Rise of Iron as well.
Yeah, like that final mission in Rise of Iron when you were fighting the fallen champions of the Iron Banner who were like turned into like synthetic robots and shit. That shit was cool. And I think with the premise they're giving for a story from the trailer, with like the Cabal Legion invading the last city, and like it looks like they captured the Travelers, so the Guardians don't have their powers and shit. I think they're really establishing a good basis for story here. I just really, really hope they deliver on it, because Destiny's a fantastic universe, and they've shown that they can do high quality cutscenes and high quality voice acting and interactions with characters. They have everything there. I mean, this is the company that made Halo, and Halo is, it should be on a pedestal for how good its story is, at least for the first couple of games. Yeah, and I want to see them deliver on that with Destiny 2 for sure.
Yeah, I'm willing to cut Destiny or Bungie some slack for Destiny 1 just because of the amount of world building they have to do for the first game, and then the fact that the story got gutted within the last 4 months of the game being released.
Bad business practice for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the pieces were there, and with Taken King and Rise of Iron, and now the Ages of Triumph book, I think there's some good stuff there. I really want to talk about the books as well. I think that's a really unique way to hunt down rewards in the game, and make the game feel more rewarding, because it's like, it's not so much like go here, do this, and you'll get this. It's more like, hey, here's about 4 or 5 things you can do to get this emblem or to get this shader or whatever. Whereas before, when the game first came out, it was completely RNG. Whereas now with these, they've had like 5 books now, and I think it makes it a lot more rewarding, and it makes you really want to grind. It gives you a reason to grind because there's things there that you're working towards.
Right. It just kind of clarified the book system in Destiny. It's a long-term progression system they added with a lot of the later expansions in the game, where you had to complete certain sets of kind of stringent sometimes and harder challenges, and you could get tiers of rewards. Like during Rise of Iron, you could get Rise of Iron related gear and boxes and shaders and emblems and whatever. Yeah. And I think the greatest part about that system was that you didn't have to do every little thing. It had something for everyone. So if you were a PvP focused player, you could do the PvP challenges and get just as much gear as someone who's PvE. And then you got the best of both worlds if you like playing both modes, because you could get the most gear. So I think they really struck a good chord with that, and it added a lot of replayability. And I think when you have a loot-based game with strikes and raids and very in-depth PvP, you have to have a really strong progression system, or it's going to turn people off in the long run, right? I think people really like to sink their teeth into something and really have something to show for it in the end. I think that really shows with how dedicated the Destiny community was to grinding out and finding every little thing.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think after I stopped playing Destiny and started playing other games, I definitely felt less incentive to just game, like in general, because I always had that feeling when I was playing Destiny, is there was always people on to play with. There was always something to do. If there wasn't something to do, then you could just go grind it out in PvP and try to get your 50s and all of the playlists, which is a lot of fun as well. I think that's a great rating system that came from Halo. So I mean, there's just so much stuff to do in Destiny, and once I stopped playing and started playing other games, there's just like, there's nothing like Destiny grind-wise. Like, you can just grind that game forever.
Right. And that's a good and bad thing. And I think one thing I want to see changed in Destiny 2 is maybe tuning a lot of the progression loot-wise to the quest system, which is something they've already really started to do towards the end of Destiny 1's lifespan. But I think most people who played the games as me can agree that, like, how long did you grind to try and get a Suros regime, Jess? Like months, right?
Yeah, I actually didn't get one until it was already bad, until it got nerfed. which was, quite a while. It was after the Dark Below. I think it was the next expansion, which is
but you had to grind RNG for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, I actually
right?
got it in a PvP match. I didn't even get it in like a reward based normal thing. Like same with the Last Word. I got the Last Word randomly at the end of a Crota run. I don't even do the raids. I was just kind of there trying to help somebody out. And got the Last Word and got lucky. So, I mean, a lot of that stuff is luck-based, unfortunately. But when they started doing the quests and stuff, it gave you a real way to grind. Not to mention
and have, like, tangible rewards.
Yeah, and then not to mention introducing the Crucible bounty that would have you let a chance at a legendary or exotic, so you didn't have to play PvE if you're a big PvP guy. Yeah. All that kind of stuff helps out.
I want to see that carry over and maybe even do it a little bit more so. Like, it'd be cool if there were, like, exotic quests, like not like specific exotic weapons, but like exotic quests where if you complete a certain set of like PvE and PvP challenges within a couple of like a time frame, you could have a chance at an engram for an exotic like weapon or armor or whatever.
Yeah, they had exotic quests at the beginning of the game, which were super great. Like you turned in 50 bounties. If you turned in 50 bounties, you would get a random exotic quest. And that's how you get the Thorn at the beginning when the game first came out. The Thorn, there was a couple other guns. I think it's Pocket Infinity, Invective, and maybe one other gun. Yeah. And you get to pick between 3 bounties, and it was great because you could, if you just grinded out 50 bounties, it only took like 4 or 5 days. It's not the end of the world, and it's only because the bounties reset every day. You can't do 50 bounties in one day, so you have to do it in like 5 days. And then you get the bounty, and the bounty takes like a day and a half. You have to do all these things. You go here, you kill these guys, go to PvP, get an X amount of kills with a void weapon, whatever. That's the kind of stuff's really fun to me.
Yeah. So I think that I really hope Destiny doesn't take a step back and make the progression more RNG based. I think the game is at a really comfortable spot now where there's a lot of tangible rewards for your playtime, and you feel like you're getting new stuff, on a regular basis. That's good.
Yeah,
I want to see that continue.
Yeah, I think it's trending that way.
Yeah,
I think we need to get into PvP a little bit, just because that's where I spent the bulk of my 38 days in this game was in the Crucible, which I love the Crucible, man. And there is nothing better than Year 1 Destiny Crucible. Literally, I've never played a game that I had more fun than Destiny Year 1 Crucible. I mean, that shit was incredible, man. There are so many things broken about it, but I'll never change it out for anything, man. That Destiny, or that Thorn Last Word meta was the best meta ever. And man, I swear, when Destiny 2 is about to come out, I'm going to delete all of my DLCs, and just so I can go out on patrol and play around with the Last Word again.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking about before we started about how like MW2, Modern Warfare 2, was like one of the most like Call of Duties, even though that game was ridiculously broken. But everyone loves Year 1 Destiny, even though it was ridiculously broken.
It's 100% broken, 100% broken.
But the good thing about
but the good thing about Year 1 Destiny PvP, there wasn't just one gun that everybody used, right?
Like
once we got to the later years, no, just straight up one gun. Like once we got to the later years of Destiny, we started getting things like the Grass of Malik and whatever that Rise of Iron pulse rifle was that I can't think of right now. That where it was literally just every single person uses one gun because it was easily accessible and you get a god roll on it, and it was the best gun in the Crucible. Whereas beforehand, when it was the Suros meta, there was 5 auto rifles like the Suros you could use. There was a bunch of hand cannons that you were just as good.
Right.
Got to the Thorn Last Word meta, you could use auto rifles, you could use a Mida multi-tool. You saw Fizzer get really good with the Mida multi-tool. I mean, there was just so many things that were good, whereas now it's just one gun. Like right now, you see everybody running around with an icebreaker because they took away special ammo because they're idiots.
Right. And I mean, God, the 2 years of shotguns. The 2 years, almost 3 of fucking shotguns. Bungie, please, if I see slide shotgun every match in Destiny 2, I might actually like break something, dude. Like, I want to see everything be usable, but if we end up with another Fellwinter's Lie sniper rifle shotgun, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be super heated.
So I use a sniper. A sniper Last Word is what I use 99% of the time I play Destiny. Okay, I was not the one going, man, and they need to nerf shotguns because the best players in this game during that shotgun meta were the sniper last word guys.
Oh yeah,
you
for sure.
had guys like War Bulletproof and Pashi's, things like that, right? And then the game, they nerfed the fucking snipers. Why? Will never understand.
Of all things, they nerfed the fucking snipers.
They nerfed the snipers. They're like, here, we're going to take some ammo from you, and also we're going to take away all your toughness. So you'll get flinched like a motherfucker. And then you see all these guys that were the best players in the game. You see all the guys who are the best players in the game. They're like, well, I'm not sniping anymore. I'm going to shotgun. And that's what broke the game right there. Is when they nerfed snipers, this game was broken from there on out.
Yeah. So, I guess we're kind of dancing around, I think, the biggest issue the Destiny PvP had from the beginning. I really think that the ammo economy system was a good thought, but I almost kind of want to see it done away with in Destiny 2, or at least maybe a better alternative, and I'm not sure what that could be. But I just don't think it works well. I mean, I think we saw too much camping of special ammo. You know, heavy ammo would just change an entire match. Yeah. I think there was too much of a reliance on the different ammo archetypes, and there were some times where it felt like, why am I even carrying a primary if people are just going to run around with certain special weapons that are just going to absolutely destroy me? So I'd like to see some kind of change. Maybe if they went to like a loadout system where you could only have, you know, like 2 weapons instead of 3, and maybe they weren't classified as heavy, special, and primary. I don't know, but I don't think the ammo economy has worked perfectly ever in Destiny 1's lifetime. There have always been issues with it. I think there needs to be a better alternative, or maybe just get rid of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they basically took it out of the game, right? Like right now, you spawn in with 4 bullets, and if you die, you lose those 4 bullets, and you got to go wait for a special crate to spawn because this game is so special ammo reliant.
Yeah.
Or you have every other person who's using a icebreaker to avoid it altogether.
Yeah. Like I just want to be able to use all my guns, dude. I don't want to have to camp a 2-minute cooldown to be able to use my gun twice and then wait another 2-3 minutes. Like I just want to be able to use my shit, dude. So I want to see it. I think maybe just going to a regular loadout system like every other, you know, tried and tested shooter has done. It works for a reason, right? Like
I think you could leave the guns the way they are, special and primary, and just give ammo. Like here, you get 10 shots in your special, and you get 50 shots in your primary, and then if you die, it resets. And if you lived out to your 10 shots are gone, then that's it, man. Go die.
Yeah, but then I guess it would leave a giant gap for heavy weapons. That was another big.
Dude, I've been saying get rid of heavy weapons for as long as I can remember. So as far as I'm concerned, just take them out of PvP. They have no place in PvP.
Yeah, but you have a lot of people saying, but you know, I grinded so hard for this machine gun. You know, I just want to, like, it's, you know, it changes the game, and like teams who are losing can have a giant comeback with heavy weapons. And I don't know,
I don't
man.
care. Take it out of PvP.
The ammo economy, I think, has only caused problems. So Bungie, there's something has to be better, right?
Yeah, they have to do something. I hope that they just do away with crates altogether and just make it a flat. But if they have to do crates, then I hope it's a better system than it was in Destiny 1.
Yeah, and then no ammo regen. Why did you invent a system to limit the amount of ammo people can have, but then put a weapon into the game that regenerates ammo? Like, that's super counterproductive. Like, why?
Right. Well, I think they thought that those guns were going to be PvE guns. You know, like they have, like the strikes can be very hard to get ammo sometimes, so it's nice to have a gun that just regenerates ammo. So I think that's where they were going with it. Obviously, it went the wrong direction.
Well, fun fact, Bungie, it turns out people will literally do anything to get an edge in a competitive environment. They will sell their soul to have an advantage over the other guy, no matter how scummy it is in a competitive environment. I don't know. I feel like that's not a good excuse. I feel like they could have saw that. They've developed one of the most competitive console shooters ever in Halo, and they saw that people abuse shit in Halo. They should have been aware of that.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think we should get off at this topic a little bit just because I could talk all day about gun balance.
Oh, yeah,
Let's
for
talk about what I want to see and what you want to see in Destiny 2's competitive. What I want to see is a ranked playlist.
Oh, yeah, ranked playlist for sure. I always thought Trials was kind of a weird and clunky system. Like having it only on the weekends.
At the beginning of Trials, when Trials first came out, it was fucking awesome, dude. Like, it was so good because it was the Thorn last word meta. And everything was fun to use, and you could go flawless. You didn't have to have the best team in the world to go flawless. Now with as many streamers as there are, carrying people through trials all day, every day for the 4 days it exists.
Yep.
Like, we run into a streamer every other game. Like, literally I've played against Real Crafty 10 times in trials, because that's just how it goes. They're carrying people all day, every day, and you're gonna run into them, and you're gonna get ran over. And the fact that you can only lose 2 games, it's just, man, it made it really unrewarding.
It was just not a good system. I think that was an overarching theme with Destiny, was that there were a lot of good ideas, but a lot of clunky integration of those ideas. So yes, ranked playlists, and I also want to see, custom games needs to come over from Destiny 1 for sure. Custom
I think that's got to be a part of. That's got to be a part of it, yeah, because they're already doing game battles
and tournaments and everything,
so,
and that's just awesome, dude. Like,
awesome.
Love it or hate it, esports and competitive scenes for video games are nothing but a good thing. It only fosters better games for everyone going down the ladder, right? Like, I think games like Counter-Strike and League of Legends, Overwatch, those types of games only become better because of the top level players and the esports and the super competitive focus, because it forces developers to be on top of balance and on top of keeping the game, well kept, right? So ranked playlists and competitive support, bar none, needs to be in the game.
Yep, I'd also like to see less playlist. Right now there was, they just changed it, but beforehand there was 8 playlists, and the fact that there was 8 playlists, it really separated the community out a lot. I'd like to see it condensed down just a little bit, just skirmish, rumble, control, take out rift, and keep supremacy, and then have a rotating playlist for the other playlists like doubles and salvage, stuff like that.
Well, and we're coming to PC, right? So server browser cut and lobby support. People should be able to buy and own lobbies for sure. And that goes along with the whole custom games thing. You're coming to PC. These are things that are pretty standard for successful PC ports. Playlists are great and whatever, but a server browser only benefits players because you can search specifically for what you want. And then why not just have a random queue where you just queue for all game modes? I think that should have been something that was in the game.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I also think that you need to keep skill-based matchmaking out of everything other than the ranked playlist, just because it's a huge disappointment in Destiny 1. The fact that after the Thorn Last Word meta, right around there, they implemented a very, very heavy skill-based matchmaking, and every game was just the sweatiest game you ever played.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I understand the problem with skill-based matchmaking. So I think keeping it in, but also having separate playlists like casual playlists is a good thing. Because
or just tone it down. Right now it's not too bad in Destiny 1. Maybe even tone it down just a little bit more.
Yeah. So skill-based matchmaking is always a pretty contentious thing. So I think having a ranked playlist that was skill-based, like having a ladder tier system with ranks and stuff, would be really cool. These are things that are just becoming more and more standard, so hopefully Destiny 2 kind of picks up on that and keeps it going. So I mean, I don't really have much else I want for PvP, other than I think that they should really make sure that when they're designing maps that they're well thought out, and even maybe changed in some instances for certain game modes, like maybe move around cover for certain game modes or change sightlines. That stuff is obviously harder to implement than just we're gonna do it. But control just didn't work on certain maps, and there were certain maps for skirmish that were just insanely boring or insanely campy. So I want to see a little bit more focus on each individual game mode for these maps in Destiny 2.
Yeah, me too. I think I actually like the maps a lot in Destiny 1, but they could use some tweaking. Also making some maps just for some game modes, especially game modes like Supremacy and Elimination.
Yep,
agreed. I think those 2 game modes would have a really good time on maps specifically for that, especially Elimination.
Yeah, certain maps just didn't work with Elimination. I think everyone kind of came to that conclusion. But I don't have much else I want to say about PvP. I think most of it's already out there, and those are my thoughts. And I think most of those thoughts are pretty well echoed by the community. So PvE obviously is another big focus in Destiny. You got strikes, you got raids, you have missions, you got quests, you got everything, man. If you're a full-on MMO player, like you love Warcraft or whatever, Destiny is a really nice entry into first-person shooters for you, because there's just so much to do in the world with friends. And I want to see that continued, obviously, and like to see it even evolved more so. Obviously, I think more strikes and more in-depth raids can only benefit us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, I think PvE is generally a really good spot. I mean, there's not really much to say about it. It's not something that's super balanced.
It's also not something that I really played that much. I mean, I played the story missions just to do them. I've done half of the raids, but it was never something that interests me. I've always been PvP the whole time. So, I mean, to me, if you could just keep the best weapons for PvP out of the raids, that would be ideal, because man, I just hate having that, like Defiance of Yasmin was one of the best snipers in the game, and you can only get it if you did take King raid. So things like that is a bummer, but it is what it is if they keep it that way.
Right. I mean, I think one thing that'd be cool to see is that kind of Destiny plays with the world, like the world building and the actual universe of Destiny kind of proactively. Like if throughout the duration of Destiny 2, like certain strikes would change with like new DLCs and like new elements be added. They kind of did that. They reinvented some strikes with certain DLCs.
Yeah. Adding Taken to a couple of the strikes was cool.
Yeah, it'd just be cool to see the world kind of evolve as we progress through the story. And I think that's stuff that they've picked up on, and hopefully we will see. Generally, Destiny 2, I'm really hyped about it. Obviously, the gameplay reveal is on May 18th. I will be right here in my chair, ready, waiting, open, D's. I'll embrace D's fully, praise the light, and I'm ready to accept Destiny 2 into my life. And I realize that when it comes out, people are very rarely going to see me, because I'm going to have my head down to the grindstone. For real.
Same. And then if you want to see some like a live reaction or live thoughts on the gameplay trailer on May 18th, let us know.
Oh, don't worry. You don't have to let us know. We're already playing it. We're going to be reacting to this gameplay.
Yeah, that shit'll be really fun. So we'll see how it goes.
Alright guys, so if you liked hearing our thoughts on what we want to see in Destiny 2, obviously you can hit the like button. You can also subscribe to the channel. You can check out Jesse in the description down below. Big shout outs to my friend Philip, who's helped me with the thumbnail art going forward for the Nerd Den. We really like where we're going with the show. The first episode was great. I think this episode turned out fantastic. And we already have more videos planned on the way. I guess we'll spoil a little bit of our next video. We're going to be talking more Paladins, our favorite topic to talk about when we're just hanging out. And esports more specifically. So look forward to that. That should be coming out soon. If you guys enjoyed, thank you for watching. We will see you next time.
Later.